back to my channel, Breaking Boundaries. I'm Sierra if you're new. Hi. So this is going to be the first day out of many days where I'm going to talk about very deep topics that I feel that I should share with the world, and just experiences that I have been through and that I've seen other people go through in their life. And I just have this burning desire inside of me that really wants to share with the world my intuition and what I know is true, and how I want to help other people to be able to see the same perspective that I have. So this video is going to be about how to not allow anyone to ever have the power to control you ever again. So that's definitely something that I feel like a lot of people are dealing with in their life right now. I have a lot of friends, family members that have been going through this, and myself in general, I've dealt with as well. And it's just something that a lot of people really just think that, is okay, and it's like modernized, so like everyone thinks that it's a normal thing that you should just deal with. And I'm here to tell you that that is not true. You should not have to deal with someone controlling you every single day and having to get their permission to do things. Like, that is something that you should not have to do. And I'm going to discuss a lot of different situations that a lot of people deal with on a daily basis with someone who is controlling in a relationship, and my tips on how to deal with those situations and when it's best to cut it off completely. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So like I said in the very beginning of the video, one of the biggest things that I've dealt with and have seen with other people is a lot of people think it's okay for their significant other to control them and stop them from going out because they're afraid that they're going to be cheated on. That is a red flag right there. Like, the number one thing that I'm going to say is communication is key. Communication is everything in a relationship. Just talking to guys and getting to know so many different guys, I know what I want and what I don't want. And that is something you don't want. You don't want someone to say, oh, I don't want you to go out to a bar or to a party because there's gonna be a lot of guys, and I'm afraid that like a guy's gonna be able to take advantage of you, and I trust you, but like I don't trust other guys. Yes, I understand in a way that you're worried about other guys getting with your girl or getting with your guy or whoever you're dating, but at the end of the day, you have to really trust who you're with. If you're not willing to let your significant other go out and have fun and live their life because you're afraid that someone else is going to take advantage of them, or you're afraid in the back of your mind without even saying it that your significant other might do something to jeopardize your relationship and do something with someone else other than you, then that is definitely not a good thing. You should always trust your significant other no matter what, because at the end of the day, what I always say to everyone that I love and care about, if you're in a relationship with someone, you care about them, you love them, and you trust them until they give you a reason not to. If you don't trust them, then it probably means that you shouldn't be in a relationship with them, or you need to communicate with them about different things that you've dealt with and how to fix that. And if you can't fix that, then you really just need to move on or get help with a therapist or with someone that can talk to you and be the middleman and really be able to help you with your relationship and give you advice, because otherwise it's just not something you want to deal with in a relationship, and you should be able to trust one another, and that's the whole point of a relationship. Okay, so number two, I would say, would be when you're with someone that constantly fights with you and argues with you about the smallest things. Now, I know in a lot of relationships this happens quite a lot, and sometimes it's okay because everyone fights in a relationship. No relationship is perfect, but if you're with someone that is constantly arguing with you and fighting with you because they want it their way and they don't like the way that you're doing it, then that's definitely not somebody you want to be with. You don't want someone that is constantly trying to control your situation, trying to say, oh no, I don't like the way you're doing it, you're going to do it my way or I'm going to get upset with you. And that's definitely not something you want in a relationship. You don't want someone that wants you to do everything the way they want it, or if they have plans and they want to go do something but you have something in mind and they rather do theirs instead of yours. That's definitely not something you want with someone. You want someone that's willing to sit down and talk about things and meet in the middle. You don't want to be with someone that does what they want to do and it completely ignores what you want to do. And in a relationship, of course, we all should know that both people should be able to meet in the middle and compromise. Compromise is everything. And if you don't have compromise, then what do you have? Because at the end of the day, when you're in a relationship, you're not just by yourself. You're not the only person, and if you're just gonna do what you want to do, you should be single. When you're in a relationship, you should respect one another and really understand each other and try to be the best person you can be and better each other's lives. Instead of arguing with each other, you should be able to talk to one another. Okay, so number 3 is a big one. People that don't exactly get along with the rest of your family. They say that they love you and they say that they care about you and they say that you're so important to them. But when it comes to your family, they don't exactly get along with them. They just, kind of ignore them. They kind of do their own thing and they don't really think about the people in your family, the people that you care about. And that's a red flag. If you are with someone that doesn't even try that hard to really get along with people that you care about and love and people that are, your blood, then that's a really bad thing. I know there's situations where sometimes the family doesn't get along with the person you're dating, and in that way, I can understand. But when you're with someone that isn't even willing to really try that hard and put their own feelings aside and really try to get to know the people that are in your family and the people that you really love and care for, that's a big red flag. So that's something that you really need to watch out for, because at the end of the day, you're going to want to be around your family. You're going to want to be around the people that you love. And if that person isn't willing to set aside their own feelings and just get along, then there's definitely something wrong. Okay, a big one as well. So let's say that the person in your relationship might make more money than you and you don't make as much. So they constantly are fussing about money and finances with you, and they kind of belittle you and make you feel like you aren't good enough because you're not making the most in the relationship. And they constantly say that you can't do this or you can't do that, and also saying that, oh, you have to do this because you don't make as much money as I do, and kind of forcing you to do things that you don't necessarily want to do. I'm not going to go into detail about certain things that people force other people to do or expect other people to do, because it's just not something that I want to say on here. Basically making that person feel bad because they don't make as much money, and saying that, oh, since I make the most money, then the least you can do is this. That's just not right. Everybody has a different job and everybody has a different income. So at the end of the day, you shouldn't make your significant other feel bad about how much money they make or force them to do things that they don't necessarily want to do. And I just think it's so wrong and it's so pathetic to see that someone would make someone feel bad about finances or things that they really can't control. And at the end of the day, when it comes to a relationship, finances, really shouldn't control your relationship. If you love someone, then you're willing to really compromise with them and do the best you can to make that other person happy, not make them feel bad about things that they can't control. Okay, so this is another big one. Communication, everyone. Communication. Did I say that weird? Communication. That's a big one. That's something that, girl, so many people they just don't understand it. It's really sad when you see people in a relationship that constantly argue and constantly fight about things that you could literally get solved in a matter of minutes if you sat down quietly and just let the other person speak and see their perspective and understand why they do what they do. That is something that I see not only in relationships, but friendships and just being with family, anything. The other person might be dealing with depression or dealing with anxiety or dealing with a lot of terrible things happening to them in their life. And then for the other person to not really sympathize with them or even, really try to ask the person what they're going through, and instead really assuming things, then that definitely puts a tear into your relationship. So if you're in a relationship with someone that isn't even willing to communicate with you and basically pushes it aside, and you say, oh, honey, I want to talk to you about this because I really feel like this. And then they say, no, I don't want to talk about that. I just want to keep on going. Like, let's push that aside. I don't want to talk about that right now. And if they do that, that's a red flag. That is someone that is controlling, because they think that their way is right, and they think that you are wrong, but they're not going to say that, but they're going to say, oh, I just don't want to talk about it. But in general, they actually just think that they're right. And that's not someone you want to be with. That's not someone or something that you should have to deal with in a relationship. You should be able to sit down with your partner and talk about things that actually matter to you, and letting the other person speak and them allowing you to speak is something that's very important. And if they're not willing to do that, then that's definitely not someone you want to be with, and they might have to grow up a little bit. So that's something that you really need to keep an eye on. If you are with someone that isn't even willing to really discuss things with you in a manner where there's no yelling or shouting or anything like that, then that's definitely something that you need to reconsider and really either go get a therapist or really move on from and let them grow as a human, because that's definitely not something that you should have to deal with. Okay, so another thing that I have dealt with and that I've seen other people deal with as well is someone in a relationship that doesn't lift you up at all. They always kind of put you down, and they kind of make you feel like you're less than. Someone that really just, kind of uses you and kind of makes you feel like you aren't good enough. Let's say they say, oh, you're too lazy and you need to get up and you need to do this and you need to do that, and just kind of make you feel incompetent. And that's definitely not something you want. It kind of makes you feel like you're less than, and it makes you feel discouraged when you're in the relationship, because you really feel like that person's telling the truth and that what they're saying is true, and it just makes you have a very negative perspective. You kind of have those blinders on, and you kind of think, oh, it's okay that they treat me this way, and at the end of the day, like, they love me, but they're just trying to improve me. Like, no, they're definitely not improving you by making you feel bad about who you are. And even if you're relaxing and watching Netflix or sleeping, there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody has to relax some point in their life, and you can't always be working, you can't always be doing things. And also, like, you are who you are. So if someone's making you feel bad about who you are, then maybe they should find someone else, because who you are is perfect. As long as you're not hurting anyone else and you're enjoying your life, then that is what really matters. Okay, so this next one should be kind of something that everyone should know, and just common sense in general. But if someone's being physical with you and they are basically putting their hands on you and forcing you to do things that that you don't want to do, and you are feeling afraid of that person, and you feel afraid to talk to that person, you're afraid to be yourself around that person, and you're afraid to speak your mind around that person, then that's definitely not something you want. I have a little bit of insight into it because I have dealt with some things in my life that's involved someone being physical with me, and it's definitely something you don't want to deal with. Someone that's ever hurting you physically and even mentally. Like, if someone's hurting you mentally as well, making you feel, like I said in the last one, that you're less than, and just saying really negative things to you, or hurting you in any type of way, physically or mentally, then that's definitely not something you want in a relationship. And I don't care what they say, I don't care how they act sometimes around you or how much you love them. That's not someone you want to be with. You want someone that loves you. You want someone that treats you right. You want someone that cares about you and makes you a better person and a happier person. And I'm just here to tell you, like, you deserve the best. You deserve to be happy. And if someone's hurting you in your relationship or just in your life in general, you should cut them out and you shouldn't be around them anymore. Okay, and another one is someone that is a different person when they're around other people, and then they act completely different when they're around you. So someone that's got that charming personality, someone that's so nice and so polite and so kind to everyone when they're around other people, but then as soon as the doors are closed, they become a completely different person. They become negative and they become condescending, and they just completely change a 180 in their personality. If they are doing that, then that is not someone that is being genuine to you. And yes, everyone's a little bit different when the doors are closed, but when it comes down to it, someone shouldn't be a terrible and negative person when the doors are closed, and then when they're around people pretending to be this like sweet and kind and genuine person. Like, that's definitely a sign that you are with someone that's not exactly the best person, and that's just one thing showing you that they aren't being genuine with you. And then also, if they're doing the same thing with you, they're being so nice to you and they're loving to you and they're caring to you when they're around other people, but then behind closed doors they're hurting you mentally or physically and really making you not happy, then that is definitely not someone you want to be with. And it's definitely a sign of a controlling person or someone that definitely has ulterior motives, and you definitely have to watch out for those types of people. So these are my tips for anyone that's dealing with someone that is controlling in a relationship or just in their life in general. So if someone in your life isn't willing to communicate with you, or they are making you a less happier person and just making you feel more negative and discouraging you and making you feel like an unhappy person, or trying to control every situation in your life, or is constantly complaining about things, or is a completely different person around you, or any of the other things that I've mentioned in this video, then what I have to say is try to talk to them and sit them down and talk about all the things that you are unhappy about in their relationship. And if they are not willing to talk about those things with you, then you probably should cut it off right then and there, because you want to be with someone that is willing to communicate with you, because communication is everything. Also with trust, if that person isn't allowing you to go do things that you want to do in your life, you should also try to talk to them. You should also try to get your point across that, hey, you can trust me, and if you think that you can't trust me, then we need to sit down and talk about some things. And just try to help them understand that, yes, it's scary to think that there's tons of other people in this world that could try to get with your significant other, but at the end of the day, that person needs to understand that they can trust you, that you can be in a relationship with them and go out and have fun in your life and not try to get with anyone and not do anything that's going to jeopardize the relationship. And at the end of the day, what I'm going to say is, even if it's you that's worried about the other person cheating on you or doing something to jeopardize a relationship, what you have to say to yourself is, if that person is cheating on me, eventually I will find out that they're cheating on me and I'll see the physical evidence. But before that happens, you should just enjoy your life, let them enjoy their life, and then one day you will find out. And when you do find out and you have that physical evidence, then you do something about it. Don't be paranoid. Don't be worried all the time that that person is going to cheat on you. Just constantly tell yourself, if that person is doing something wrong, then I will find out one day, but it's not something that I should ever have to worry about and stress over, because no one needs to stress over things that they can't control. And yes, sometimes you do have to be cautious, but when you're in a relationship, you shouldn't have to control that person or stress or be afraid that that person is going to cheat on you. The whole point of a relationship is to trust each other. So what I just have to say is, if you see that they're being honest and truthful with you, then great. But if you find things in your relationship that they are doing things that are wrong, then you sit down with them, talk to them about it, and try to figure out how to deal with it the best you can. But if it continues to happen, definitely decide to cut it off, because that's not someone you want to be with. And at the end of the day, we shouldn't have to stress over having to trust someone. We should just automatically trust them. And actions speak words. So if you see that that person is constantly being honest with you, then trust them. If they're constantly lying to you, then you shouldn't be with them. And then of course, if you're in a relationship with someone that is hurting you mentally, physically, definitely try to talk to them if possible. I don't know if you can really change someone that's like that. All I have to say is, you shouldn't be with someone that's hurting you, and you shouldn't be around people that are hurting you. You should only be around people that uplift you and make you feel better about your life, and just have people that support you and have that positivity, and get rid of that negativity as much as you can. And also, if you're with someone that isn't willing to get to know or get along with the people that you love in your life, then you shouldn't be with them. Because if someone loves you, they will try to get along with people that you love as well. And sometimes in a relationship, it's not all about just being with that person. You also have to be willing to be around people that they love as well. And if you're not willing to get along with people that they love, then you probably shouldn't be with that person. So I think that's about all the signs that I can think about of being with a controlling person, and different ways to deal with those situations, and if you should be with that person or not. I definitely have seen other people deal with a lot of different situations when being with controlling people, and sometimes they're fixable and some of them are not as fixable. And it's definitely something to keep in mind when you're in a relationship. You should always put yourself first. You shouldn't ever feel you're having to give everything and that other person isn't giving anything. And that kind of shows that when you're doing that and you're giving 100% and that person's giving you nothing, then it usually is a sign that you are putting too much effort in and the other person's not putting enough, and that the other person is basically just making your life more negative. And when people are trying to control your life and trying to always tell you what to do and always make you feel bad about your life and about who you are, then you shouldn't have to deal with in a relationship or deal with in life in general around the people that you're with. And you definitely have to keep in mind of all these little things. Even if they're little, they can add up and be huge things, and things that aren't very fixable at the end of the day. And if you really love and care about the person, and if they really love and care about you, then they should be able to communicate with you, be honest with you, and trust you fully. And if they can't do that, then there's something wrong in your relationship. I've definitely dealt with my fair share of relationships and dealt with a lot of different situations that I wish that I hadn't had to deal with, or I wish I would have thought sooner about the different things that I was seeing from that person. And at the end of the day, we go through different things and we learn from them. And the best thing to do is learn from them and to not feel like you're stuck. Never feel like you're stuck in a relationship, and never feel like you have to be around people that are negative and treating you terribly, because that's definitely not healthy for you. And you deserve to be happy and positive and live your life to the fullest. And if someone is bringing you down in your life, then you definitely need to find a way to either communicate with that person that you are not happy and what they're doing to you is hurting you. And you should be able to communicate with that person and tell them how you're feeling. And if they're not willing to listen to you, then you definitely should move on. And you should love yourself, and the right person eventually will come along if you want a relationship. But at the end of the day, the best relationship you can have is within yourself. And I have learned that. I've learned that inner love for yourself is just so amazing, and it's just so rewarding, because you know that at the end of the day you have someone that loves you and that understands you in ways that no one else will ever understand you. I don't care how many relationships you're in, that person is never going to understand truly who you are on the inside, who you are deep inside that soul of yours. And all I gotta say is, you have to love yourself. Self-love is probably the most important thing we can have in our life. And I'm gonna do another video that's actually gonna talk about self-love, but I'm just so motivated by it. It's an amazing thing, and people really underestimate self-love. And I'm just here to tell you, if you are in a controlling relationship, you might feel like you have to be with that person, but you don't. You deserve so much better. You deserve to be happy. And if that person is making you unhappy in any type of way and they're not willing to fix that situation or fix that problem, then you can cut it off right then and there. And it might hurt. It might hurt so bad, but I'm here to tell you that you doing that is going to make you a happier person, and is going to allow love and positivity come back into your life. And I promise you it will happen. So that's about everything for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope you could learn something if you are in a controlling relationship or dealing with people that are negative and making you unhappy. And I just hope that you can gain a little bit more knowledge, and I just hope that I could give you enough advice on this situation, because it is so important and it's something that a lot of people need to hear. It's just something that is very important to me for people to know, and I'm just glad that I was able to sit down and make this video, because I want every single one of you to know that you are amazing and you deserve to be happy and be able to live a happy and positive and beautiful life, because you are beautiful and being you is beautiful, and never let anyone tell you otherwise. So if you like my channel, please subscribe and hit a like if you like this video, and also hit that bell notification for future uploads. I have a lot more deep topics to talk about with you guys, and I constantly at night have these different topics come into my mind, and I just write them down in my notepad on my phone, and it's just something that I love to do. I love to sit down with you guys and really talk about really deep topics that a lot of people are just afraid to talk about. A lot of people just think that, you know, oh, you shouldn't talk about these things, but these things are important, and we should be more willing in this society to talk about these things. And I feel like it's really my purpose on this earth to talk about deep subjects that a lot of people aren't willing to talk about. And I'm just here to tell you, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to be a deep person and to really care, because caring is a great thing, and being kind is a great thing, and being genuine is a great thing. And I just love being able to have this channel and talk to you guys about these things, and I really hope you like this video. So without further ado, I'm gonna have to end this video, but I love you guys, and I really hope that this can help anyone that's going through a tough situation. And I know people in my life that are dealing with tough situations, and I just want them to be happy, and I know what it feels like to be in those situations. I am happy within myself right now, and I just want every single one of you to be happy in this world too. No matter who you are, no matter what you're going through, your circumstances don't define you, but who you are in the inside is what matters. And nobody can ever tell you that you aren't you, because you are you, and you know who you are. So without further ado, I love you guys so much, and until next time, be the peace. I love you.